Are you looking to have a miserable RV trip? We're here to help. This episode of Great Adventure is sponsored by eTrailer.com. We've been busy getting ready to head out for 7 full months of RV travel in only 2 more short weeks. And one task we needed to complete was to put 4 new trailer tires on our 5th wheel. Before we even get started on our list of ways to ruin an RV trip, a tire blowout is a surefire way to make it miserable. Worn tires invite blowouts, but tire experts say that the most common cause of trailer tire failure is actually improper inflation. You can check tire pressures before you hit the freeway, but what happens if you pick up a nail on the road? A few minutes with a slow leak and you're just inviting a blowout. Know what's going on back there with the trailer TPMS system from Tireminder, which we've used ourselves and like. You can pick up your own Tireminder peace of mind from eTrailer, where you'll find over 100 US-based enthusiast customer service reps ready to help via phone, chat, or email, both before and after the sale. These folks have used themselves the products that you're shopping for, and you won't find a more knowledgeable team anywhere. We'll put a link to the Tireminder TPMS system at eTrailer right down below in the video description for you to go check out. There are numerous things you can do to ensure a successful RV trip, but it doesn't take much to ruin one. The fastest way to a miserable RV trip is being in too much of a hurry, trying to accomplish too many things, and stressing out your family in the process. RVers talk about the rule of 3s. Travel no more than 300 miles in a day, spend at least 3 days in each destination, and arrive at each campsite no later than 3 p.m. Following the rule of 3s ensures that your RV travel will be stress-free, because you're taking the time to stop and smell the roses. At the risk of sounding a bit hypocritical, we'll admit that sometimes we'll push it a little further, sometimes to 350 or 400 miles in a day if we have someplace that we really need to get to. But those are really long, hard days when towing, and we need an opportunity to recover and decompress after those long days. 3 days gives you time to explore an area a bit, to appreciate its charms, and to unwind before your next move. More's better. We personally prefer to spend a full week in each destination. But it all depends on your personal preference and how many different things you wish to see and do in any particular location. Finally, about arriving by 3 p.m., setting up camp in the dark is no bueno, especially if you're boondocking. It also gives you an extra buffer of daylight in case you need to go out and find an alternative campsite. Speaking of boondocking, if you haven't been boondocking before, take a trial run first. Sure, those remote camping photographs look spectacular in the RV brochures, but you don't want to be out in the boonies when your batteries go dead, you run out of water, or your toilet overflows. It's important that you and your family understand how to maximize your resources for power, water, and waste tank capacity before you head off-grid. The best way to do this is to take a dry run. Spend a few nights in a full hookup campsite, but don't hook up. Spend a few days monitoring how much you deplete each of your resources each day. You'll then be ready to head out into the boonies and dry camp like a pro. In our hurry to get from point A to point B, it can be tempting to merge onto the interstate. Instead, however, take the time to appreciate the countryside. After all, the journey is part of the fun. Follow US or state highways instead to experience those small towns bypassed by the freeways. Stop at a small town drive-in for a burger and an ice cream. Patronize local businesses. Get to know the people and what makes the area tick. Avoid large metropolitan areas. Towing a large trailer or driving a motorhome through the traffic and congestion of an urban area can be nerve-wracking. For example, in our own travel plans for 2024, our plans call for us to take a rather wide berth around New York City. It's a detour several hours out of our way, but in the end, it may be longer, but it'll certainly be a lot easier. Remaining rigidly fixed to a plan can ruin the most promising RV trip. Despite your best prevention, things will go wrong. You may have a mechanical issue, or foul weather may halt your progress. Roll with the punches. Build enough spare time into your itinerary to deal with the unplanned. Carry along enough cash to deal with unplanned contingencies. And when things do invariably go wrong, don't panic. Stop, pause for a moment, analyze each individual situation, and contemplate your options. Be sure to carry the appropriate tools for the most likely scenarios. Sure, as full-timers, we have our entire home with us everywhere we go. But back when we were weekend campers, we kept a checklist for camping on a spreadsheet to ensure that we didn't forget anything important at home that we would need to bring with us. We went through that checklist prior to each and every trip. Sometimes, especially in the western U.S., fuel stops can be few and far between. Towing or driving a large motorhome consumes a lot of fuel, and nobody wants to be sitting on the side of the road with an empty fuel tank. Plan your fuel stops in advance with the help of online tools like Google Maps. There was a time in West Texas that we failed to heed our own advice, and we were forced to drop our trailer at an interstate ranch exit. And with less burden on the truck with the trailer unhitched, we were able to limp to the nearest gas station on fumes before we had to go back to retrieve our trailer before finishing our trip. Don't ever plan to be with less than a quarter tank of fuel. Check fuel stops in advance on Google Satellite View if need be. Plan an exit strategy. Oftentimes, truck stops have the most room, but sometimes even gas stations have dedicated RV lanes. In the Intermountain West, Maverick is terrific for this. It also helps to know in advance where you are going to dump and fill your tanks with the help of websites like sandadumps.com. RV storage space is small, especially for refrigerators. Plan your meals in advance. That way you'll have a lot less food waste and you'll be carrying along a lot fewer ingredients. If you're a weekender, consider doing a lot of your food prep at home before you even hit the road. That'll give you more time to enjoy yourself while you're in camp. What are your tips for successful travel in your RV? Share your ideas with your fellow RVers down below in the comments section. Coming up next week, as we finish preparations to bring you along on 7 full months of RV travel, we're going to share with you our new favorite mapping program for getting out in your RV to camp and for exploring all the wonderful things that this nation has to offer. So if you're not yet a grand adventurer, I can't think of a better time than now for you to go smash that little subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a grand adventure, which we premiere every Wednesday evening. We'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. But understand it is extremely important to us that if you like this episode, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. So until next Wednesday, please remember life is nothing but a grand adventure, and we'll see you then.